Hey, good afternoon, Wesley friends. Thanks for checking us out once again today. Before I get to the reading, let me ask a question. Do you ever doubt God? Doubt God's presence? Doubt God's concern? I think we all have those moments. And when we read the Bible, we even find godly people having their doubts and questioning God. Psalm 77 is one of those places. Psalm 77 reads, I cried out to God for help. I cried out to God to hear me. When I was in distress, I sought the Lord. At night, I stretched out my untiring hands, and I would not be comforted. I remembered you, God, and I groaned. I meditated, and my spirit grew faint. You kept my eyes from closing. I was too troubled to speak. I thought about the former days, the years of long ago. I remembered my songs in the night. My heart meditated, and my spirit asked, will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? Has his unfailing love vanished forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has he in anger withheld his compassion? Wow. You know, doubting is part of our walk with the Lord at times. But as this psalm will show us, when it comes to God, we can overcome our doubt. We tend to doubt God when we bring God down to our level. Like the psalmist wrote in verse 3, he says, I remembered you. Sometimes we remember God. And that implies that there are times when we aren't thinking about God. And that's true. We get busy with life. Things come up. This happens, that happens, and we go a while, and then sometimes we go a while longer and we're not thinking about God. And we think, gosh, if I've forgotten to think about God, I guess God probably has forgotten about me. But that's bringing God down to our level, thinking that God acts as we act. Thanks be to God that God does not act like we act. So let's read verses 10 through 12. Then I thought, to this I will appeal. The years when the Most High stretched out his right hand, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds. These verses teach us that when we doubt God's presence in our lives, we should remember all the things that God has done for us. God has a plan for us. That plan is sure and certain. It doesn't change. When we doubt God, we should meditate upon God's great deeds. Thomas Chisholm had a difficult life for several years. He was extremely sick. He was confined to a bed for a long time. He recovered, and he gave his life to Christ. And he was on a mission trip, and he wrote a poem. And he sent that poem to a good friend of his who was a musician by the name of William Runyon. Runyon was so moved by this poem that he put the words to music. And so I'm going to share with you and leave with you the words of this poem. It's a great hymn of the faith. Consider these words our prayer together as we think about God's hand in our lives. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning new mercies I see. All I have needed, your hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Friends, today, take some time to remember that God's goodness is always following you. It's always seeking you. So stop and remember. God bless you.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Yes, it is. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, oh, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.